Come in and have a little sip of coffee with me this morning. We're glad to have you here. Thank you for being here. Dr. Richard Dawkins has just been offered a seat to space. I wonder will he take me with him. He's just been offered, what a trip. He's going to go to space. I'm sure he'll get his eyes open and he'll see a bunch of things that he didn't realize and didn't see before. That's going to be a great trip. Dr. Richard Dawkins. The same man, Dr. Richard Dawkins, has said that how can God be omnipotent, all-powerful? How can God be loving, all-powerful, and yet some of the things that he done, especially in the Old Testament, as some people even go to the point that there's two gods, one for the Old Testament and one for the New Testament. I want you to look with me just for a few moments today. Joshua chapter 6, verse 20, 21. I know you've heard the story, the Battle of Jericho. I know you're familiar with the story Rahab the harlot, and even in the VBS, our VBS, we used to sing a little song. What was it called? Joshua fought the Battle of Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fought the Battle of Jericho, and the walls came tumbling down. The only thing missing today is the cookies, and the VBS, and the juice, and the ice cream. But I always liked the story, the Battle of Jericho. And whenever we understand how God operates, I used to feel that no matter what the obstacle or trial, God was in control, and we didn't have to feel intimidated by our enemies, because the great and powerful God loved us so much, he promises to fight on our behalf. Like I love the story of David and Goliath, one of my favorite stories. And I love the story of the three young men in the fiery furnace. What a story. But in the book of Joshua, I want you to listen to the words of the holy book. Please, listen to the words. When the trumpet sounded, the people will shout, and the sound of the trumpet, the people give a loud shout, the walls will collapse. Then every man will charge straight in and destroy with sword every living thing in it. Men, women, children, young, old, cattle, sheep, donkeys, camel. Stop. Can you imagine the smell? Can you imagine the sounds of the day? It was a bloodbath. The carnage that took place. The Israelites were told, kill everything in Jericho. Genocide. It reminds us of genocide. And Dr. Richard Dawkins says, how can there be a loving God when this kind of thing is demanded in Scripture? How can an all-powerful, omnipotent, loving God let this to happen? And if you think about it for a long period of time, what took place there, you might even feel that, well, maybe God has a dark side as well as his compassionate, loving side. But I think it helps us to see how he really is. This idea, several people have taken the idea there has to be two gods. The Old Testament, that is the primitive, cruel, vindictive God. The New Testament is the tender, compassionate, understanding God. But therein lies the tension. God is both merciful and terrifying. And I know we don't have all the facts. And I know it's difficult to make a sound judgment. Let me explain something to you. God hates sin, but God loves sinners. God hates evil, but God loves people. God punishes sin, but God loves sinners. And it's difficult to get your head around this. And I don't believe there are two deities, one of the old and one of the new. And I don't want to create a God of my image, a God that I am comfortable with. I believe they are both one and the same. But I think some explanation is needed here. And the carnage following the overthrow of Jericho, I think it begs for an explanation. Roughly 650 years before the Battle of Jericho, God made an unconditional covenant with Abraham. And Abraham, God said, would become the father of a great nation. And you will receive the blessings of God. And the Hebrew people, they would go to Canaan and spread and grow and everything else. And the promised land, it was a promise to Abraham and his seed, my God. In Genesis chapter 15, verses 13 and following, know for certain that your descendants will be strangers in a country not their own. And they will be enslaved and mistreated for what, 400 years? But I will punish the nation they serve as slaves. And afterwards they will come forth with great possessions. But you, however, will go to your father in peace and be buried at a good old age. Now hold that thought. Number one, there are not two deities. But we're going to try and explain the carnage and the genocide that took place at the Battle of Jericho. And maybe if you can tune in this week, we'll talk about it again. But this goes right back to Abraham, the father Abraham. And God told him, you will be strangers in a strange country. And you will be enslaved and you will be mistreated. But you, Abraham, will go to your father in peace. And you will be buried at a good old age. And then we'll get to the story of Exodus. And that's exactly what happened. 430 years later, a family of about 45, 50 people had mushroomed into a nation of millions. May God bless you. Have a great day.